Now I have a reading list. Okay. Each year, the graduating class invites someone to be their honored guest speaker, and the class of 2012 has invited California's Attorney General Kamala Harris. California's 32nd Attorney General's Kamala Harris's parents met here at Berkeley as graduate students. And after attending public schools, her strong commitment to justice and public service led her to Howard University, America's oldest historically black university, and then to our sister school, UC Hastings College of Law. She was inspired to become a lawyer, she says, by civil rights icons Thurgood Marshall, Charles Hamilton Houston, and Constance Baker Motley. Attorney General Harris has spent her entire professional life in the trenches as a courtroom prosecutor. After law school, she took a position in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office, where she specialized in prosecuting child sexual assault cases. As a deputy district attorney, she also prosecuted cases of homicide and robbery. She worked in the Alameda County Attorney's Office from 1990 to 98 before going on to serve in the San Francisco DA's office. In December of 2003, Kamala Harris was elected as the first woman district attorney in San Francisco's history, and is the first African-American woman and the first South Asian American woman in California to hold the office of district attorney. She was overwhelmingly reelected for a second term in 2007. But now, as California's Attorney General, Kamala Harris has led a response to the mortgage and foreclosure crisis hurting the state that has garnered headlines around the country. She secured $18 billion for California homeowners from the nation's banks, while also expanding prosecutions of mortgage-related fraud and crime, introducing the California Homeowner Bill of Rights to bring justice and transparency to mortgage access. And as Chief Enforcement Officer for the state, she has focused on combating transnational gangs that are trafficking guns, drugs, and human beings throughout our state. She's committed to innovative approaches to tackling the state's toughest problems. Newsweek magazine named her as one of America's 20 most powerful women, and she's received innumerable awards. She was even on the Oprah Winfrey Show. A star in state politics, a rising star in national politics. Kamala Harris is an inspiration to the next generation of women and leaders. Indeed, she's an inspiration for all of us. But there are questions about her. Serious questions. Will she be our next senator? Our next governor? When will she be president? But let me tell you something. I mean, she's been called a female Barack Obama, but I know Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a friend of mine. Barack Obama is no Kamala Harris. Please join me in welcoming to Berkeley Law's commencement ceremony, the Honorable Kamala Harris.
Thank you. You went a little too far, but I'm going to let that go. I'm so honored to be here and to be with you in the Greek Theater where I've spent many an occasion. Dean Edley, distinguished faculty, family and friends, and of course the members of the class of 2012. Congratulations. and what experience you've had. I'm sure it was in every way a team effort. Your family and loved ones, the people here in the audience, have stood by and supported you for these last 3 years. And look around, seated next to you, the people who will be forever in your personal and professional lives for years to come. And so now you are part of an incredible tradition, a tradition built on shared values, a tradition to go into the world and create a more just society, a tradition that has led you to be part of the 100th class of this great institution. And you have the distinction of being probably the only law school class that entered one school, Bolt Hall, and ended up graduating from another, Berkeley Law. And like the many classes before you, I can say with certainty that you are going to take on the big fights and the big challenges. I'm sure of it. After all, it's part of the tradition of Berkeley. This, after all, is the home of Mario Savio, Judge Thelton Henderson, and of course, Earl Warren, who is the 20th Attorney General of the state of California and the author of Brown v. Board of Education. And as Dean Edley said, this is where my parents first met, as young graduate students, at a time when people were marching and shouting for justice in the halls of this university and in the streets outside. And it's a place where for the last 3 years, you and your classmates, as students, have already begun working in the service of others. And so today we celebrate your graduation. And there is, I think, as Professor Swift mentioned, an expectation that a commencement speaker should propose the biggest issues and challenges facing us today. But instead today, I'd like to talk about a methodology for approaching your work, principles and practices that I believe will allow you to fulfill your oath to serve with greatness. To be sure, there is no shortage of challenges and crises that require the attention of a great lawyer. And when I reflect on my own experience, first as a student and then as a lawyer, I realize that I've worked on a number of issues and challenges throughout the years. And they've been quite varied and quite unpredictable. When I was a prosecutor, fresh out of law school, I joined the Alameda County DA's office, once headed by Earl Warren, and that was the era of the crack epidemic. The toll it took on our most vulnerable communities was undeniable. When I was later elected District Attorney of San Francisco, it was the era that we first recognized the pervasive exploitation of young women and girls who were being trafficked on our streets and across our borders. And now as Attorney General, I see the results of the global financial crisis, a man-made disaster. I see it in the faces of the 1 million children displaced by foreclosures in the last 4 years in our state alone. And every day as Attorney General, I also see transnational gangs trafficking drugs, guns, and human beings into our state. The point is, of course, there are always enormous challenges. The issue is, how can you serve with greatness? The very principles that bind us together in this profession demand that we serve with greatness. After all, we're bound to serve with loyalty, to serve our clients with zeal, and to serve with candor and mutual respect. These timeless principles are part of the recognized methodology for serving with greatness.